Hello, my friends. I have the honor to start a new perik in Baba Basra, perik Beis Kuru, Daf Kuf Gimel. We're going to start Kuf Beis on the base in the Mishnah. I have the honor to do this in my wife's grandfather's shul here in Mala in South India. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me this opportunity. And learning today will be the schus, my wife's grandfather and his wife, her grandmother, and all their family. Says a Mishnah, someone who tells his friend, I'm going to sell you a base kur of offer. It's a certain amount of size of a field. Rashbam explains that it comes out, Chotza Mishkan was 150, so it's 15 times that amount. Says the Mishnah, and in this field it was found to be that there was cracks in the ground that were deep 10 tefachim, or sloim or rocks on the height of 10 tefach. So the seller can't tell the buyer, listen, part of the sale of the field is these cracks in the ground and these stones are 10 tefachim high. No. The buyer tells him, I want one field that should be easy for me to plow and easy for me to work, and therefore I want a base kur without these cracks and these stones. If these cracks or these rocks were less than 10 tefachim high, you can measure it together with the base kur. But if he didn't say base kur, he said ke-base, about like a base kur, so he tried to say them less of a ischayvus. Since he didn't say base kur, he said like a base kur. So therefore, even if there's rocks higher than 10 tefachim or cracks deeper than 10 tefachim into the ground, they include in the sale. Says the Gemara, we learned over there in Aryeh in a Makdish b'shas hayovel, someone who gives his field and he makes a hegdish when the yovel is noyeg, noisin lo lebeis zera choyme sorim 50 shekel kesef. So the Torah says a chiddush that if someone is makdish, is sodach, who's also, someone who's makdish a field that he was yorish in the Yerusha from his father, and then if he wants to redeem it, there's a fixed price, normally by hekdesh. If I'm makdish to hekdesh a Maybach or Mercedes or BMW, so we estimate, and I want to redeem it, we estimate its value, and then and you redeem it. But because we're talking about a Sotah Chuzah, there's a special din that there's a fixed price for it, and the fixed price is like what we just said. So for Bezer Achoymesorim, for such a space of a field, you give 50 shekel if you magdish it at the first year of the Yovel. Continues the Mishnah, in this field that was magdish, had cracks in the ground that were the depth of 10 tefachim deep or 10 tefachim height of rocks. Einim dodim imo. So Rashbam explains Daf Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph at the top. What does it mean einim dodim imo? That you don't calculate lefi this cheshbon of 50 sloim for 50 years, 50 shekel. Elo, you do it. You look at it as a separate field, and you estimate it by itself, by its value, not lefi this estimation that the Torah is mechadesh, and we're going to see soon why exactly. Pochos mikan, if it's less than 10 tefachim, nimdodim imo, it's measured together. Frek the Gemara, v'amai lekachu ba'apei nafshayu. Why do we say? Yeah, why? Very good. You're saying that it's a separate field. We look at it as two separate fields because there's a depth of 10 tefachim, high or low. But even by itself, okay, so let's look at the two fields. So we have one field that's all on one level, and we have another field that's a small little crack in the ground, and let's still be poiderit with the same value like we said before of 50 shekel kesef. And if you're going to tell me keben de loy have a base kur, because it's a small amount, it's not a base kur loy kochi, you can't take it out for that value, you take it out in a much lower value, in a full estimation how much it's worth, because when the Torah said the Chiddush that you could redeem it for 50 shekel, that's only when you have a base kur. But but when it's smaller, you have to do it for the whole value. So the Gemara, that's not true. Tanya, it said in the Brisa Sode. It said that we learn from the pasuk that says a field matamud lo imalefish and mar, because it's on the pasuk vera choyme sorim bechamishim shekel kesef, that for such a big field you redeem it for such an amount. Only elo sheigdish binyan in there, that he was makdish a field for such a big field that he could be poided for that amount. Minayin rabbis lesech v'chetzi lesech seo tirka v'chetzi tirka. How do we know if someone's makdish a much smaller field that we value and we do estimation if it's 50 shekel? Talmud lo imasode michol mokoim. So even if it's a smaller than the amount that it says in the Torah, you do estimation. Let's say for 100, if the Torah tells us that for 1,000 square meters you have to pay £1,000, so for 500 you pay 500, and for 250 you pay 250, and for one you pay one. It doesn't matter the size. So what's pshat over here in the Mishnah? It says that these rocks that were high, or these cracks in the ground, we say that you have to redeem it for its own value. Amar Vukva Bar Choma, it's talking about the Mishnah that the cracks are full of water, and the labne is rioninu. They're not plantable. And the whole chiddush of the Torah, it says the Beis Zera, when you have a field that you could plant in, that's when you poider it for 50 shekel. But since it's full of water and you can't plant in it, therefore you have to value it as an estimate to see how much it's worth. I'll bring a diuk, because it says similar to sloim, that the cracks are similar to the rocks. Shmami no, like sloim, you can't plant on it. Also the cracks, you can't plant on it. Why that? Because it's full of water. Says the Gemara, Yochi, if you can't plant on it, afilu pachos mikanami, even if it's less than 10 tfachim deep or 10 tfachim high, we should have to value it by itself, because it says in the Torah Beis Zera. On that the Gemara answers, Anu nagid Aryeh mikru, shadru Aryeh mikru. Meaning the Gemara answers that when it's less than 10 tfachim deep or less than 10 tfachim high, even though that you can't plant on it, since it's normal in a field to have some rocks, to have some deep places where you can't plant, so it's part of the field, and therefore you could be poidered with the whole field. But when it has its own entity, and this own entity you can't plant in it, it's not considered Beis Zera. Therefore that own entity, you have to value it in its own value. Said the Gemara, Hochamai, by us in Baba Basra, in the Mishnah we just learned, is it talking about that the cracks are full of water, and if it would be plantable, it's part of the sale or not? Omar Papa, even though that they're not full of water, they have their own entity. My time, and what's the reason? Because here it's nothing to do with what it says in the pasuk Zera. It's the reason is a person, when he buys something, doesn't want to invest and buy a field and have as if he has 2 or 3 fields, one in one level, one in another level, one in another level. It's not comfortable for him. He wants everything on the same level. So it's toile on das bnei adam, and das bnei adam, when someone buys something, he wants it to be all on the same level, and therefore the din is that if it's a different level, even if it's not full of water, even that he could plant these cracks in the ground, it's not part of the sale. Said the Gemara, Matkiflo Ravina asked the bomba kasha of Aldunia desloim ktoni. It says that the cracks are similar to rocks. Masloim de labnei zriya, like on the rocks you can't plant them. Ninu af ani, even these nami de labnei zriya ninu, they're not plantable. So how is her papa telling me even if it is plantable? Said the Gemara, tells on that kiketoni dum desloim apochos mikan. When we were talking about Dumya the Sloim, the Chiddush is that we compared it to Sloim, is even though in the case where it's less than 10 tfachim deep. So we're saying even though that it's less than 10 tfachim, the Chiddush is even though that it's like Sloim and you can't plant there, still it's part of the sale, because it's normal to sell a field that some parts you can't plant in it. But in the case where it's more than 10 tfachim, it doesn't have to be Dumya the Sloim, and the whole reason why the Mishnah compared it to Sloim is for the case where it's less than 10 tfachim deep, and there is a Chiddush. Said the Gemara, Amar Vitzchok, Troshim Sha'omru, Beis Arba Kabin. So Rav Yitzchok says that though we said that if you have a place in the field that you can't plant, it's okay and it's part of the sale because it's normal to have that. Says Rav Yitzchok The troshim sha'armu, that's okay to sell a part in the field that is not plantable, that's only beis arba kabim, that's only if it's a size of until up to beis arba kabim in a beis kur offer. That means that there's a limit. If there's tons of places in this beis kur offer that you can't plant more than arba kabim, then the person says, sorry, this is a bad field you're selling me, I can't plant over here. If it's until beis arba kurim, it's okay. But more than that, more than beis arba kabim is not okay. When do we say that beis arba kabim is okay until that amount is? If it's mixed in a lot of part of the beis kur, it's separated in chameshes kabim of the beis kur. That means you have the whole big field and a little bit over here, a little bit over here, a little bit over here. You can't plant, then it's okay. But if it's all located in one place, so then the person could say, I don't want this part of the field. You can't plant anything, and it's a big part. Rav Chia bar Ave, Omar Rabbi Yochanan, V'hu shemuvloim beruba shel soda. Rabbi Yochanan says even more than that. It needs that if 4 kabim, it's only okay if it's a little bit on the Muroiva soda, not on base and 5 kabim. You need much more. You need it to be separate. You need it that it should be scattered in the whole in Roiva field. Then it's okay to sell a field that you can't plant in it arba kabim. Boy, Rav Chia bar Abba says on this din of Rabbi Yochanan, Rubon b'miuta. Most of this area that you can't plant is only in part of the field. Umiuton, and a little bit of the area you can't plant is beruba, is in most of the field. Mao is that din? Is it called scattered on most of the field? Or we say no, but most of the place you can't plant is in one area. In one area, therefore it's not good. So the Gemara teiku tishbi taretz kushis veiboyes. And we could see here how all the Jews of Kuchin went up to Eretz Yisrael. No one was chasing them. It wasn't like Europe, and they still went up to Eretz Yisrael because they believed that's our land. And Alevai, b'schus that Moshiach is going to come very quick with all the tzoros we're going through. Said the Gemara weiter, boy Rav Irmi asked the Shaila, what's the din? Keshir. If the area that you can't plant is scattered around like a circle, like in the picture of the Rashbam, Mao, is that considered, it's very hard to plant to plow in between, and therefore maybe it's considered a problem, and it's not, the guy could say, I didn't want to buy such a field. Keshura Mao, if it's on a straight line blocking all the charisha, is there a problem or not? It's tidin. It's tidin is like the horns of an ox that goes, that you used to have in a stadium, that you used to play games with it. Like in the picture on the left, in the Rashbam, it looks like horns. Mao, is that a problem? Is that maybe, even though that's in one place, is that a problem or not? Or the guy could say, no, this is disturbing me very much to use a field. It's all in one line like horns, and it's disturbing me. Der Chakaltoin Mao, if it's going like a zigzag, like the picture in the Rashbam on the left, like the W, is that a problem? Is that considered a problem in the Mechira that the Loikech could say, listen, it's blocking my whole field. Very good, it's a little amount of a place where I can't plant, but I can't go over the Machresha. Wherever I go, I bump into this W. Says the Gemara, Teiku Tishbi Taretz Kushis Veiboyes. Tona, it says in the Brisa, if there was one rock and he wants to start measuring the base kur that he's selling from that rock, afilu kolshu, even if it's a little rock, the loikech could say, don't start measuring from there, measure from past a rock. I don't want that rock being part of the field since it's on the outside of the field. If it was even in the field but was close to the border, even if it's a small rock, the loikech could say, don't measure this rock, leave it outside the field because it's by the border. Boy Rav Papa, what's the din? Mufsak offer bentayimau. It's close to the Meitzah, to the border of the field, but there's a bit of earth between the rock and the Meitzah, less than 3 tfachim. Is that considered part of the Meitzah that the Loikech could say, don't measure this rock in the measurement? Or we say, no, since it's already a tefach and a half away from the Meitzah, it's part of the field. So the Gemara, Teiku Tishbi Taretz Kushis V'Boyes. Boy Ravashi, offer milemata v'tzurme milemalo. If you want to tell me that a hefsek of offer is considered a hefsek, what's the din if there's a rock on top, underneath there's earth? Or the opposite, offer milemalo, there is offer on top, but not very deep offer. It's not 3 tfachim deep that you could go over there with the machresha, v'tzurme milemata, and there's a rock underneath. Can you measure that part of the field, or no, is that not part of the field, and the Lokech doesn't need to accept that part? Said the Gemara, Mahu, what the din, Teiku, Tishbi, Tarat, Kushis, Vipoyes, Bimeir, Biamenu, Alevai, we should be Zoicha for Moshiach, for Eliyahu, and Navi first to come, to Megala us all the Teiku, all the Sveikas we have, and then we should be Zoicha for Moshiach Tzidkenu, Bimeir, Biamenu. And I'll just show you very quickly around the shul. It's not as nice as yesterday's shul. It's not, it doesn't have on a kodesh, etc., but I'll still show you. Shnas Hey Talfrei Samech Tes, I think it was built 100 and something years ago. Oz Yimoles Choik Pinu L'Shenei Nurino Oz Yoimur Bagoyim Igdil Hashem Lasso Isimele.